Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Harpreet if you're new here, and welcome to today's video. As you guys probably saw from the title, today's video is going to be my August wrap-up for all the books that I read in August. August was a little bit of a dry month for me in the sense that I didn't read as much as I thought I was going to, but that's also because I'm working like 48 plus hours a week, so I'm a little tired, so therefore I didn't read as much. If you are new to my channel, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below, and don't forget to give me a follow on my social media, which is linked down below. I will have all the books and names and authors and all that stuff linked down in the description box, so definitely take a look there. If you have any recommendations for me, please leave them in the comments below, because I would definitely love more recommendations so I can get more books. But with that being said, let's just go ahead and get into this August wrap-up. So I'm going to go in the order that I read them in, just to kind of keep it simple. I do apologize. I kind of suck at giving descriptions of books. I don't know why, so I do apologize. But I'm sure some of these books you guys have already read, but a lot of these books are good. So even if my depiction or the way that I explain the book doesn't come off well, you should still read it. So the first book I read is One of Us is Lying by McManus. I really enjoyed this book. This was my first murder mystery thriller book that I read in a really long time. I think I finished this within a couple days. Once I was in, I was basically hooked. I really enjoyed this. It just kept me, you know, locked in. I didn't feel like I was bored or I had to put it down because it was getting dry. I felt like it was a really good book. It was a really good read. Basically, this book follows 4 high school students that end up in detention together, and one of the students, named Simon, ends up dying during detention, and they're basically trying to figure out who did it. They are suspects in this murder to kind of figure out what happened, who did it, and each one of them has a deep secret. As you go along, as you follow these characters, eventually revealed like who is behind it, who had motive, and blah blah blah. Different relationships being formed, and a lot of people not being friends anymore, and it follows each one of them, which is really nice. So like each chapter is a different character, so you're getting a perspective of each of them. You're getting to know their background, you're getting to know like why they are the way that they are, which I always think is fun. This is one of the first books that I read where it changes perspective from each person. I thought it was a really good read. I think I finished this within a couple days. I think it's about 400 pages, and I don't know, I really enjoyed it. It was fun. It was, you know, a nice little mystery. Pretty Little Liars meets The Breakfast Club. There's a little bit of romance sprinkled through here, which I really liked because it kind of lightened things up a little bit, and the people that get romantically involved are favorite characters. I really liked it, so definitely recommend this book. And obviously the sequel to this book is One of Us is Next. I also enjoyed this book, probably not as much as the first one, because I fell so in love with the main characters in the first one that it was kind of hard to fall in love with these characters. Although some of the characters in this book are connected or related to the main characters from the first book. But basically this book follows Maeve, who is Bronwyn's sister from the first book, and she is back at the high school, and now there is a copycat who is basically trying to be the new Simon, with releasing secrets that could potentially harm their reputation. Yeah, they're just trying to kind of figure out who this copycat is, and before like too many lies get exposed. But the thing with this one is, instead of just exposing lies, this is more of like a truth or dare situation. So like they either have to pick truth or dare, and if they don't pick one, then their secret gets revealed to everybody in the school, and if they pick truth or dare, then they have to do the dare or reveal the true selves. So that was kind of interesting. It was really fun to read. It also did the same thing where it jumped from character to character to kind of give you a perspective of who they were following. And the main characters in this book were Phoebe, Maeve, and Knox. I would definitely give this maybe like a 3.5 out of 5, and I would give this a 5 out of 5. I don't know, I just really enjoyed this first one a lot more than I enjoyed this one. Again, it was still a good read. I just was so invested in a lot of the main characters in this book. So, and they do make appearances in the second book, which is fun, but I still like the first one a lot better. So I definitely recommend both of these. If you are going to be reading them, I definitely recommend getting both at the same time, just so you can continue and finish them both. Definitely look up triggers. I don't really feel like there was any triggers in this book. There might be, so definitely look them up. I think you should look up triggers for all books that you read just to be safe. But yeah, definitely recommend. The next book I read was It Ends With Us by Collen Hoover, and this book made me feel things that I didn't even know I could feel. If you have not read this book, I highly recommend. But keep in mind that there are a lot of triggers in this book, so if there's something that you might be triggered by, definitely look up trigger warnings. As always with every book that you read, definitely look up trigger warnings. I read this within 2 days, and this book basically follows Lily, who is living in Boston, and her dad just passed away. She didn't have the greatest relationship with her father, but she ends up meeting this man named Ryle, who's a neurosurgeon, and he's all about being one of the best neurosurgeons in the world. Like, his work is what matters to him. He doesn't have time for relationships other than like one night stand. And she's like, I don't do that, buddy. But somehow their paths keep crossing, and eventually they end up in a relationship together. And when she reconnects with her first love, Atlas, who she met when she was really young, things take a big turn in this book, but I will leave that for you to read. But I definitely recommend this book. I definitely fell in love with Ryle. I just thought their relationship was so cute. Because of what happens in this book, it was really hard because I was really rooting for Ryle and Lily, but then because of what happens, it's really hard. It was a roller coaster of emotions, which was, I don't even know, like, I'm still kind of speechless, I'm not gonna lie to you. Colleen makes you fall in love with Ryle and puts you in the position that Lily would be in, so I think that's kind of what I really enjoyed about this book, because it really makes you think and puts you in Lily's position of like what you would do in the situation. So I don't know, I really enjoyed it. The spice in this book was good. I would definitely probably read this again, but I was speechless and depressed for a couple days after. I didn't know what to do with myself, so naturally I went and picked up the next best thing. So the next book I read was Ugly Love by Collen Hoover as well. This book, 100 out of 100. I know it's like super hyped up on like TikTok and stuff, but that's not even why I read it. I read it because of this. This book left me so hurt and depressed that I was like, I need more. So I picked this up naturally. This book is also has romance and trauma and spice, all the things you need in life, which is great. This book follows Tay Collins, who is moving in with her brother. She's moving in with her brother for school, and she's like going to school to be a nurse, and she meets her brother's best friend, who is Miles. He's super secretive, super like quiet, keeps to himself, doesn't really share much about himself. And initially when she first meets him, he doesn't have the best impression on her. She doesn't really like him, but they are physically attracted to each other, which turns into a friends with benefits, no strings attached situation. And obviously, as we all know, that usually never ends well. So they both start catching feelings. Miles is having a hard time because of his trauma that he has not dealt with, and Tate is also having a hard time because as much as she wants to pretend like she's not catching feelings for him, she definitely is. So she's having an internal like dilemma on what she wants to do, but it's really hard because Miles is everything that she could want. I think anything that all of us could want. So I don't know, this book was really good. Spice in this book was spicy. I was here for it. This book definitely also made me sad, but it also made me happy at the same time. I really enjoyed this book. Roller coaster of emotions, but I highly recommend that you read Ugly Love. It will give you everything that you have been wanting. So definitely recommend this book. This is a brother's best friend's trope, so yeah. Last book I have in my romance pile is The Love Hypothesis by Hazelwood. I definitely like this book. It was a little bit of a harder book to get through than, you know, anything by Colleen, but this book was also good. I thought it was pretty well written. Story follows a girl named Olive Smith, who's a third-year PhD candidate. She's been all about school since as long as she remembers, the one thing that like makes her happy. And so she is researching a special project which relates back to her past trauma. And long story short, she basically is in a fake relationship with a professor on campus, and this takes place in Stanford, by the way. And she's in a fake relationship with him because she wants her best friend to move on and like date this guy that Olive went on a date with like once, and her best friend Anna doesn't want to because of the girl code. And so basically Olive pretends a professor named Adam Carson, who is like known to be like strict and basically an ass, but he's also very, very good looking. And so she pretends to be in a fake relationship with him. They both kind of get something out of it, so they form an alliance and go in a fake relationship. I thought this book was good. The spice was good. There were some parts that were a little bit dry that I kind of had to go through because it was kind of like building up the book and adding more to their background so you get to know them a little bit more. Sorry if I'm talking a little fast. My battery's dying, which is shocking. It's always dying. But anyways, I definitely recommend this book. I give this probably 4 out of 5. Probably leaning more towards a 3.5 just because, like I said, it gets a little dry for a bit. But overall, I really did enjoy this book. I do recommend it. I think it's just a nice amount of spice and a nice amount of romance, and definitely enjoy this book, and I definitely recommend. I hope you guys enjoyed this August wrap up. Again, I know it's not a lot of books, but I still wanted to share the books that I read with you guys and my thoughts on it and recommendations and stuff like that. I hope I did a good enough job of covering the storylines and the basis of the book. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up my wrap up for August. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave your recommendations down below of other books that you might recommend. I'm really trying to get more into murder mystery and fantasy and stuff like that. So again, if you guys have any recommendations, please let me know down below. And with that being said, I will see you guys in my next video.